Finally, loot distribution rules are here, and this time it's officially from Amazon Games. This is very important topic because this here, right, regarding drop from bosses and in general in the game, from conflict bosses, from peace bosses, regarding different kind of items, we were talking about this for a longer period of time and we didn't see anywhere any kind of official rules, but now we have it. So let's analyze what we have here and let's find out together how is loot distributed within Throne and Liberty. Before we start, let me just say, subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more of Throne and Liberty videos in the future. So I have already studied this post within last 24 hours. You can get this post yesterday from Amazon Games. For today, a recap and my analysis of everything important. First, what we have here, general activities that includes open world farming, abyss dungeons farming, quests, contracts, dynamic events, co-op dungeons, excluding the final reward chest. That final reward chest, right, in co-op dungeons is pretty clear. Regarding party dungeons, everybody's getting, right, their individual loot. Enemies, normal, elite, and party elite. Distribution rules for this situation only, right? When an enemy dies, a loot is assigned to the player who first earned contribution, dealt damage in this case to said enemy. If the player is in the group, the loot is assigned to the player's party instead. So this is interesting, right? So party is getting instead if the player is in the group. If the player is playing solo, that's another story, right? In this case, the drops from the enemy have equal chance of distribution across all party members. The only exception is the party members that have no contribution and are out of range will be excluded from the drop pool. So if you are a member of the party and they are killing some mob far away from you, right, you will not be included into that loot. I have noticed that many times in the game, right? You need to be close to some point, right? Or at least maybe to hit at least once, right, some mob. All items are evenly distributed when possible. This means if there are 10 items dropped for a party of 5, each player should receive 2 items. If even distribution is not possible, it will randomly select a player or players to receive an extra drop or drops. Solent and experience are distributed evenly. So regarding party drop, I don't think there was much confusion basically, right? When you are going to farm open world dungeons, for example, in a party, right? This is how is everything working. However, regarding open world bosses, peaceful ones and conflict ones, right? That's another story. Let's check it out. So first we have here peace mode bosses and guild raids, enemies, field bosses and arc bosses. So this is also including arc bosses, which is very important. Distribution rules. When a peace mode field boss dies, all players are sorted by individual player contribution. Guild's overall contribution does not play a role for peace mode bosses and guild raids. So this is very important, right? So on peace mode bosses and arc bosses, guild overall contribution does not play a role. That's it. It is everything, right, done by individual player contribution. Player must meet a minimum contribution to be eligible to receive loot from the bosses. So there is some minimum threshold which you need to pass to be within that pool for contribution. If you don't pass, right, that special threshold, right, regarding contribution, well, you'll not be eligible to get reward. There are 2 drop types that come from peace mode bosses. First one, contribution drop. Each item is distributed based on chance according to individual contribution. So first one is depending on your individual contribution. However, there is another one, a random drop. Each item is randomly provided only to remaining players who did not receive one of the contribution drops. That means that you still need to reach that minimum contribution limit, but if you didn't get the drop within first, right, contribution drop pool, you could get from the random drop pool. A single player is only eligible to receive one of these drops. In other words, a single player cannot receive more than one epic equipment item from a single boss encounter. Solent and experience are distributed evenly. And that is actually, I think, pretty clear. Regarding peace mode, right, bosses. So, nothing regarding guild overall contribution in that case. It's about individual contribution, which is going on two ways, right? Two pools, let's say it on that way, contribution drop pool and a random drop pool. You have also here example. Let's assume that field boss drops the following loot when defeated. Contribution drop 1 sword, 1 mask, 1000 solant, random drop 1 boots. Assuming you met the minimum contribution requirement, that is important, described above. If your contribution was 3% of the total contribution, you would have 3% chance of acquiring either sword or the mask. All players that met the minimum contribution requirement would have an equal chance to acquire the boots regardless of the total contribution. Any player who receives epic equipment is unable to attain a second piece of epic equipment from the same boss skill. Now we are coming to more interesting part. Conflict mode bosses. That means PvP bosses, field bosses and arc bosses. Contribution rules. First stage, loot is assigned to a guild. Then loot is assigned to players within that guild. Let's check the details. When a field boss dies during conflict mode, a guild contribution is calculated and the sum of the individual contribution for each player in the guild who participated in the fight. The guilds are then sorted based on contribution. Guilds must meet a minimum contribution to be eligible to receive loot from the boss. Loot items are distributed based on chance according to guild contribution. Note, unlike peace mode bosses, dying to an enemy or another player during a conflict mode boss will result in dying player losing 70% of their individual contribution. This is important. You are losing 70% of your individual contribution if you are dying from an enemy or another player, meaning it reduces the guild's total contribution at the end of the match. So it is important to survive, not to die that much. Once a guild has been assigned an item, all participating players within the guild have equal chance to obtain the item. Solant and experience are distributed evenly. So that's it, right? Two stages. First is guild contribution overall, sum, right, of individual players' contribution, and on the end, second stage, right, where all participating players have the same equal chance within that guild. Example, let's assume that field boss drops the following loot when defeated, drops 1 sword, 1 mask, 1000 solant. If players A, B, and C had 10%, 15%, and 20% contribution respectively, and all belong to the same guild, then the guild's total distribution would be 45%. That means this guild would have 45% chance to acquire the sword and the mask. If the guild successfully acquired the mask, then players A, B, and C would each have an equal chance to receive the mask. Claim the throne in the next siege castle to ensure you almost never have to worry about valuable loot again. Thank you for support and we'll see you again in Solicium. I think this is pretty clear. And also very important part, which I didn't mention on the start, maybe I should have, right? Let's go all the way up here to show you. Contribution is not coming only from damage. Contribution is coming also from, look at this, healing friendly players in battle. This is very important, I would say one of the crucial parts. So contribution is coming from two sources, damage and healing. But what about tanks? What about tanking, right? Because if you're a tank, well, you not have that much DPS. If you're playing DPS class, fine. If you're playing healing class, fine. What about that if you, for example, play some SNS combination class, some tank? You not have that much high damage, you are not able to heal, so where is your contribution in that case? So there is no contribution in tanking like damage received, at least not for now. So tanks don't look too good in this situation, at least from my perspective. Regarding healing, don't worry, obviously here, right, your healing contribution is calculated. But they didn't put any kind of numbers, right? What is the cap? Is there any kind of cap? What is the minimum threshold? Can you overheal? Now it's much more clear. Amazon Games did explain to us, and NCSoft, obviously, right, developers of the game, how is loot distribution working in this game. And I think still they need to work on this system, especially regarding guild distribution system. Because over there, for the Eastern market, that guild distribution system actually could work. Here in the West, you have a little bit different mentality of the players, so it's not working like intended. They need to work, I think, a little bit more on that guild distribution system, because like I said, many guild leaders are abusing that system to their benefit. We have seen some guild leaders stealing the loot from players, disbanding the guilds, lots of drama. That was a case a lot, right, in global version of the game. On the eastern, right, on the eastern market in Korea, I didn't see that happen too often. But at least now we know, and you have clear idea how is working loot in this game. So healing, damage, great. Tanking, not that great, and you have right clear idea how is working everything in PvP and in PvE right mode of bosses. Thank you for watching the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitch, and see you soon with another Throne and Liberty video. Let me know in the comments below video, what do you think about a loot distribution system in this game? Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, what they could have done better? Let me know in the comments below video. Thank you for watching the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitch, and see you soon with another Throne and Liberty video.